Hey guys, and welcome back to Mama's Gaming Channel. I'm Mama, and today I'm going to do another unscripted video. It will be analyzing my friend's gameplay. My friend's name is Phantom, and he graciously allowed me to watch it, analyze it, and use it for my channel. And I think there will be a lot of good things to learn from this. We'll be watching his gameplay from the perspective of Lucio, and it may sound like I'm kind of mean to him or that I'm criticizing him a little harshly, but really I want you to understand that he is one of my favorite people to play with, and I think he does a great job with supports. I think that this match was just a rather challenging one, and so hopefully if Zach watches this, he can learn something and even further make himself a better support hero than he already is. But Zach, I love you. I really do, and I hope that you don't take this too harshly or take it the wrong way. So with that said, let's get started. So we see that he is going to play Lucio on King's Row, and I'm just going to tell you the team comps. He is Lucio, excuse me. Buddy is Winston. There's a Diva, Reaper, Mercy, and Soldier on his team. Now this is kind of a hybrid dive comp. I think that's what Buddy and Phantom were going for, but I'm not entirely sure. So it's not like an ideal or some like set team comp. It's just kind of a team comp. But you can see that there is, with the Diva, Winston, and Lucio, that there can be some sort of dive comp in there. The only thing is that they're going to need some coordination, and we'll see if that actually comes out. The enemy comp is a rather cancerous Symmetra, Zen, Diva, Junkrat, McCree, and Hanzo. They're very frag heavy heroes, and they do a lot of choke spamming, so the dive comp is actually a very good thing to have. They're just going to need a lot of coordination to pull this off. So let's go ahead and get started. Right out of the gate, Phantom does a speed boost out to the choke point, and to me this is just a huge waste of an ability. It's very pointless, because I mean the team has been sitting there for 30 seconds now or so. They've had almost a full minute to set up, and they're totally ready for you, and now we know that there's a Symmetra, so they're not going to want to jump in there. But it's really it just seems so pointless to be speed boosting right up to the choke point, because it's just kind of like speeding to a red light. Now some of you guys might be like, whatever, who cares? But let me challenge you with that. That's a huge waste of the speed boost ability, which is definitely going to come in handy when they decide to engage finally, when the Winston initiates. But since Phantom used the speed boost already, he can't do that. Now he has to wait. They have to wait like 10 or 12 seconds. I forget the cooldown. They have to wait for that, or they have to go without it. So guys, don't do that. Now it's really good for King of the Hill. If you want to speed boost right out and get to that point objective, or that point really quick, then yeah, definitely speed boost out of the gate. But when you're attacking against a defending team on 2 CP or assault escort or just escort, you really need to be careful not to speed boost to the choke point, because it's just a waste of an ability that you could be using the moment when you're ready to engage. But now they have to wait. But you really see that they don't Phantom's team isn't really coordinated very well, and that's kind of inherent when playing with randoms. You can't really coordinate very well, especially if they're not going to want to talk to you. But you see that the Reaper and the Diva are pretty much just like trying to flank and get solo kills. So if they're ever going to initiate, if Winston's ever going to get in, he's going to have to try and time it for when they go in, and that's going to get really tricky. But going back to Phantom's gameplay, we keep seeing him like jumping in to the fight and trying to engage people by himself. He goes after the Symmetra, he goes after the Junkrat and dies. I think he goes after the Diva a little bit, and he doesn't stay with his team. He just kind of keeps bouncing around, and he goes up with Buddy as the Winston and jumps down by himself against the enemy team, and it's like, okay, what are you doing, Phantom? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that. And so you can see maybe some people don't know that Lucio does have a positioning in the team where he needs to be, and that's really with the bulk of his team. But more importantly, he needs to be able to speed boost his team around. That's his whole purpose. If the speed boost isn't being used properly or hardly at all, then Lucio is rather superfluous. He doesn't need to be there. So if Phantom isn't going to be using the speed boost, then he probably shouldn't have Lucio. Zen might be a good idea because this is a frag-heavy enemy team that they're going up against, so he needs to have something that can help kill the enemy quickly. Either that or the team needs to figure out how to use Phantom's speed boost. Either way, there needs to be some sort of coordination going on, and it really does. It kind of hampers and ultimately stops what happens or their advance in the team comp. Excuse me, I can't talk very well. So he does make an effort to group up. You'll see when Buddy dies as the Winston, he goes back to spawn and waits, but then again he speed boosts from the gate like to the choke point again, and he keeps moving by himself. I think he's doing some wall running for grins and giggles. But it's still like there's no initiation. He doesn't seem to be doing anything in the team. He's just kind of hopping around and here I'll speed boost when I want to. Here I'll do some fun wall riding. There needs to be something going on, and that's probably the rest of his team's fault because Phantom has no idea what's supposed to be happening right now. He's like, okay, do we go in or do we not? And that's just kind of inherent when you're solo queuing or when you're playing with randoms. And as you can see, the team is just all over the place. We got Reaper and D.Va, again I mentioned, who are they're going for the flanks. They're teleporting and flying around trying to get the kills, and Soldier isn't really committing. He keeps poking at the choke, and I hate poking at the choke. And Buddy as the Winston seems super confused as to when to go in, when to engage, and so it's just a big mess. It's just a hot mess. Now they do end up taking the objective, but that's only because the enemy team really had no coordination either. It's just easier to defend with no coordination than to attack with no coordination. But as you can see, D.Va goes after and kills the Hanzo, and Reaper gets a kill in, and then everyone kind of moves in because they feel it's much safer to move in. But really there was no. It was kind of like a forced coordination thing. They just kind of fragged the enemy team out. They didn't really overcome them in any way. So it was, thanks enemy team for giving us the point by not grouping up and letting us get a couple kills out. So now we move on to the streets phase, and we see our team does the right thing. They wait for the objective to come out. Very good, very good. The whole team's waiting, but we can still see Phantom just keeps wasting his Amp It Up ability, and as the Soldier moves in to get a kill on the McCree, Phantom gives him an Amp It Up or gives the Soldier an Amp It Up to heal him when he's just barely wounded, and the Soldier has his biotic fields, and I mean there's still a mercy. Phantom seems to be playing like he's the solo healer, but he's not. He needs to be able to use that speed boost and not so much his healing. So he just keeps wasting his amps. As a matter of fact, he does another one where he goes after this D.Va up on the roof, and he stays up on the roof after the D.Va ults up, and he amps up the roof, I guess, because you can see the numbers. There's no one there that he's amping up. And then we see that they don't have great ult economy, or our team does, or doesn't, excuse me. Reaper keeps attacking enemies way up in front. He even uses his ultimate to kill a Hanzo. That's it, just a Hanzo. And our team is really, the only ground that they're making is because the enemy team keeps trickling in and never really engaging all together, and so it's super easy in the streets phase to just keep stomping people, especially when you have people like Reaper and D.Va who can push people around and kill them all the time. Now Phantom here, we see he keeps using his mobility. Instead of staying with the Winston and helping the Winston out against his duels, he keeps pushing the enemy D.Va around like a bully. It almost seems like he's a chihuahua on a leash that just keeps nipping at people's heels. He's not really doing anything. He's just kind of bouncing around. And to be honest, there isn't really a lot to do in this streets phase when the enemy team is trickling and all you you really see is D.Va showing up and sometimes McCree. But Winston keeps jumping around. You may not notice, but Buddy is actually jumping around trying to eliminate the team before they show up. And if Phantom was there, he could give him the speed aura, not amp up the speed, but just give him the speed aura so that Winston would have much more mobility to maneuver around and not get shot as much while he's skirmishing, while he's having a duel. But, it doesn't really matter too much. The only thing is, though, is that Phantom keeps pushing D.Va around, and it makes it more difficult for his team to confirm the kill. You're shooting at D.Va, and all of a sudden she just goes flying for no reason. And that's just, it makes it more difficult to kill her and feed up your ultimate. But they still win the Streets phase because the enemy team just trickled in. So, again, that's 2 points for our team because the enemy team doesn't know how to be a team. Now, with the final phase, I kind of called this coming. Neither team is grouping up and working together, but in the final phase of like every map, it is so much easier to come together even without knowing it as a defending team than as the attacking team, because all of a sudden the defenders have the respawn advantage and the attackers have the despawn advantage, much unlike the beginning of this match. And so as our heroes move forward, Reaper immediately goes for the solo flank maneuvers. You can see he teleports over to that room over there with the big health pack, and he waits. And Phantom does some like wall riding just for grins, I guess. It was kind of cool, but it was pointless, it seemed, and he got a little bit of poke damage on him, which fed his team, or the enemy team, the ultimates. So just be careful of that. Be mindful that Lucio's abilities and his job is more than just wall riding around. He actually has a job to do, which is not just wall riding or wasting amps, which our hero Phantom keeps doing. He keeps amping for no reason. It seems like he just speeds around for grins, or he heals someone who really doesn't need a lot of healing. And it's just, I think maybe he's confused. I'm not sure. But you need to be careful, guys, when playing Lucio, that you really need to keep the amps for the speed boost when your Winston decides to initiate, or when anyone decides to initiate, and then you speed boost the rest of the team in so they could kill. And I talked about the dive comp a while ago, and how the Winston or D.Va and the Zarya and the Lucio work together, and so you can go back and look at that. But it just, wasting those amps is just a big no-no, and he doesn't have that ability. He just kind of uses his amps liberally and doesn't have his ability for when he really needs it. But he does die, and when he spawns back, he trickles in with a speed boost, which I suppose isn't all that bad, except that when he shows up, he could really use it almost immediately, because he takes some damage and other people take some damage, so he could really stand to start healing, and it doesn't really work out. He doesn't really stay with the group. As a matter of fact, he kind of gets left out into the open street and gets shot down as Winston and the rest of his team are pretty much moving onto the side. The Pharah comes and finds him and starts to do a little bit of poking damage, because he just doesn't stay with his group. He needs to be in the middle of his group so he can ferry them around and give them any healing that he might be able to offer. Now, in a little bit, Mercy does get traded for Sombra, which means that Phantom is technically solo healing. Sombra is quite a support hero-ish, with her ability to hack health packs. Having Lucio and Sombra as the supports isn't a bad idea. You just need to make sure that Sombra is actually, her health packs are being used, or else you're really not getting a whole lot of value out of Sombra. And maybe I'll make a video on that later. But anyways, since there's no coordination, we can't rely on Sombra's health packs to be used, because no one's communicating, and people may not even know that Sombra has hacked hacked health packs. So Phantom is technically solo healing right now, which is not a good position for him to be in. At this point, since his team isn't really cooperating, they're not doing a dive thing, he could probably go to Zen and it would be better. Or maybe even go to Ana or Mercy, but I think Zen would be really good, because the enemy team is still super frag heavy, and his team is actually frag heavy too, where they are trying to eliminate the enemy team it kind of like one-on-one instead of doing it as an entire group. So to help that, with Zenyatta's Discord orbs, then he could definitely contribute to his own fragging. He could help and kill the enemy team. At the very least, he could throw Discord orbs on Winston, or on the targets of Winston, while throwing healing orbs on his allies that keep flanking. So I think that Zenyatta would be a much better pick than Lucio, mainly because Lucio's speed boost isn't being used right now. So if we're gonna have healing, we need something that will either heal better or something that can kill better. But either way, I don't think Lucio's a good idea right now. But it's not just Phantom's problem. It's not just Phantom's fault that this team doesn't make any headway. The whole team keeps trickling in. You can see that, soldiers sprinting in, and no one's really coming together. Now there is this part where they try to make some headway. They do sort of a team fight. And Phantom needlessly pulls out his ultimate. Like, no one's dying, nothing dangerous comes out, and he just pops out his ultimate as if to say, hey, we're coming in. And Sombra in the back, you can see, misses her EMP because the enemy Zen counter ults the beat drop. Zenyatta comes in with his pass into the iris kind of thing, and completely just eliminates Phantom's beat drop. If Sombra had been there to put her ultimate there, that would have been, her EMP would have definitely dropped the Zenyatta ultimate, and they could have made some headway on the beat drop. As it was, the beat drop came, Zenyatta's ultimate came, and then the enemy team the friendly team, our team, had to back off of the objective. And at that point, the team just shattered. I mean, they start losing people. They don't trade out. They just keep losing people. And they keep trickling in. They don't have a lot of time, and it doesn't look like they're going to make it. Now, there is one shining moment where you think they're going to make it, and that is when D.Va makes this clutch nuke and just wrecks almost the entire enemy team, and there's only one D.Va, the enemy D.Va, that stays and tries to delay the inevitable. But despite all that, the enemy team comes back, and while our hero, Phantom, is back at the spawn and he tries to come back in, we can see that they're on overtime, and then all of a sudden overtime goes down and there's really no one on the objective. That includes even his team. So they actually lose because everyone jumped off of the objective and the payload didn't make it anywhere. Overtime ran out and they were defeated. Now, I kind of saw this coming, or at least not the objective or where they move off the objective, but I was pretty sure that they were going to lose anyway, just with the way their team comp was working. They weren't really. It was they were trickling in. They weren't grouping up and coordinating. They had Reaper, who was just flanking. You never see Reaper with the team. You always see him in the kill feed, killing someone that is not even on screen. He's just there was just nothing for our hero to work with, and so Lucio was a rather obsolete hero to have because no one used his speed boost, and Phantom didn't really do a lot of killing. So there was just not a lot for Phantom to do, and I think that he probably stayed because of the Winston Buddy. I think Buddy was trying to make the Winston work, and in order to do that, they needed the speed boost, and the speed boost never really showed up, and so Buddy was ending up killing things by himself or getting killed by himself, and you just watch, it never really comes together. Not to mention that there was a huge kit abuse on Phantom's part by he just kept amping amping randomly and needlessly all the time. Now, it didn't really matter too much because his amps never really saved anything. It's not like, oh, if you had an amp, you would have saved the team. No, that's not really it. And there was more going on than just Phantom's kit abuse. But it was a major factor. It's like, what are you doing, Phantom? You're not actually doing anything. You're not helping. You need to get in there with your amp. You need to speed boost the team in when Winston dives in, or the Reaper's back there. You can go over and help him. But instead, it just seemed like he was more interested in fragging or being a bully or just trying to heal himself or heal his enemy, or heal his friendlies, excuse me. So didn't really come together all that well, and I think it was a little bit foreseeable and definitely avoidable, but maybe not by our hero Phantom or Buddy playing as Winston. I think they did the best that they could, and just playing with the randoms who never grouped up, it was just difficult for them to do anything. Still, I want to thank Phantom for letting me use this and talk about it rather harshly. Hopefully this helps more people out, and he didn't just needlessly get thrown under the bus. And really, Phantom, you know I love you, and I don't want to make you feel bad, but hopefully this helps you learn something, and maybe we can get together sometime and talk about it. But thanks you guys for watching this. I really hope you learned something. If you liked the video and you found this helpful, then please give it a like. If you would like to see more, then you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you would like to check out more about what this channel is about and how you can contribute to it and how you can help it out, then go ahead and check out my Patreon page. I'll link it in the description below. Also, I have started a Discord server where you can come and you can chat. You can chat about Overwatch, the competitive side, or just regular old chat. You can look for groups. That's entirely up to you guys, but I do have the Discord server, and you're welcome to come check it out. You can find it. You can find the link in the description below, or you could go to my Patreon page and you'll find a link there too. Thank you guys for watching again, and I hope to see you later in MGC.